let's talk about this Taylor Swift fat phobia argument that's going on right now. As of very recent, scale scene from the YouTube video has been officially removed. I personally find that a little bit crazy because the video obviously started with it, and I'm kind of leaning on the side of I don't think it was offensive. But I'm kind of going in circles here because I like to lean on the side of empathy, and I do understand how people can be triggered by this. But at the same time, I'm over the argument that this video was about her and her expressing her own personal struggles through art. And what I want to critique here is how people are taking this so personally that it's becoming them on the side of things that maybe involves their fandom level of how they are with Taylor Swift. People are becoming too parasocial, so then they're taking things personally that she says. And I do get that, because as someone who is fans of other people, when I hear other people say stuff, it's relatable because I feel myself in them, right? So by design, you're going to take things personally, which is why I understand where a lot of people are coming from. But I do want to dive into some comments here, because there are some people who have openly called themselves fat who are talking about how this doesn't affect them at all. But then there's people who are talking about how they're deeply affected by this. And now I know that the word fat is a very strong word and can be taken offensively, but I'm using it in the context of how, everything's being displayed right now. Maybe going forward, I'm not going to be using that word. So anyway, I want to dive into this article real quickly on Variety. And this was before the YouTube thing was removed, but it says, speculation surrounding behind the removal of those frames comes from an online debate over the scene, which is seen has been labeled as some as anti-fat because the indication of being fat is a negative thing. Growing up, from the jump, been viewed as a very negative thing. But as time has gone on, we are all as a society slowly getting better at it, at least in this generation. Now, there's still generations that shame people for this, and I'll never know what that's like, right? I've never had to experience this issue, so none of this I'll have ever experienced. But on the same coin, I'm of the argument that everyone's body is beautiful no matter what. I'm not going to shame someone for how they look or how their body is, etc. But I want to dive real quickly into the comments of this video by Angelica Violet. She said, "Is Taylor Swift fatphobic, or are people too sensitive?" And this is her reaction. So I'm just going to go to the comments real quickly because I found these comments to be very interesting. So this person right here says, "I've been fat my whole life and this doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm assuming that most people in their lives have thought they were fat. In my opinion, fat is not a bad word." Interesting. So when I see anyone mention it, I don't take it badly. I think it fits the video because it was something the devil was telling her. My comment to this is I think that the video was her displaying her own insecurities and how there is a stigma behind being fat. So she was trying to quite literally get across that message from a visual standpoint, and it clearly triggered people and it hit home too hard for some people, which is why these people are now blasting out on the internet over this. Right here, this person says, "I'm a fat person, I'm not a Swiftie too. I just like some songs, but I agree with you. I think she was criticizing all the idea society puts in women that being fat is the worst thing in the world, and girls end up having eating disorders because of this pressure and how this affected her too in the past." Bingo. That's my main argument over this. And it's kind of funny that this only has 9 likes on it. I thought that some people might relate to this a little bit more than they did. But yeah, this essentially was exactly what she said. She was just criticizing the idea of how society puts this message out there for people. And I think from a, obviously I don't understand it. This is probably a hot take, but I think, looking at it in a positive light, I think this is something that could potentially be used to help break that stigma, right? Because she was looking at it from the past and her things she's dealt with, saying, wow, that's insane. But now, we've moved on. And that's how you could look at it from a positive light. But again, I don't know what that's like. But the video's also not about me. The next thing I want to look at here is this other comment here. "I'm a big girl and not a Swiftie. I did see a lot of Taylor hate before this, which I don't understand. For those people, it's just an easy leap. There are people who I want to respect empathy from others when it comes out how they feel about their insecurities and struggles, but I can't do the same for others. I guess if she was calling someone else fat, I agree that it was wrong. In my mind, if I have an issue with seeing it, it's because of how I'm feeling myself that day. I also personally think it's good for younger girls to see her insecurities." Yeah, so this is another good argument here. In the video, she didn't just come storming out being like, "Oh, look, other people are fat, they suck." Like, no, that's not what the message was. And I think one thing that I have to take into consideration here is someone who might be a younger fan of Taylor Swift may not understand the message that's getting across, right? I'm a 27-year-old man, so of course I'm going to understand it, right? You know, I think as a younger person online, you're going to be more susceptible to believe that, you know, fat is bad because of how it's displayed, and you don't quite understand, you know, the message on a deeper level. So I do get that standpoint. I don't want to dismiss that. Another thing I want to look at is I made a tweet about this, and I want to look at this person's reply. It says, as someone who's dealt with an eating disorder, I think it's bizarre people are using her past to excuse this. Shouldn't she know better than anyone how harmful it is to see fatness as something to be afraid? Another quick tweet I want to look at here about this comes from Mr. Beard. He said, fat phobia harms everyone in society, and I think we should allow everyone the space to express how fat phobia hurts them through their art. If you think only fat people should express their experiences with fat phobia, then that's a fine perspective. We just disagree. That's where I'm at, too. Now, down here, he says, if we sanitize art to the point where artists can't reveal negative aspects of themselves they're trying to change, I think we can prevent a lot of important conversations from happening, which I do agree with. I think it's nice to open up the conversation, but to people who are maybe a little bit older and people who can like understand things on a deeper level. Down here he said, but again, your perspective is only fat people should talk about their experience of fat phobia, and seeing that Taylor Swift admit that she is fat phobic hurts you, then those are fine positions to take. We just disagree for the purpose of art. My overarching point here too is that yes, she is displaying what is fat phobia, but she's not being fat phobic towards other people. Again, I already said this, but it can be seen as fat phobic, you know, if you're more impressionable, right? Someone down here said she is frightened of being fat. That's classic fat phobia, which is what she was trying to kind of break the stigma of in her video. But Mr. Beer down here said, you're absolutely right. It is fat phobia. That's the point. She's criticizing her fat phobia that society forces women since the day they're born. The entire song is criticizing the negative parts of her that she needs to change. That's why it's a critique, not an endorsement. I want to quickly wrap up this video. You know, I know that sharing my thoughts as a straight white male on the internet who's never dealt with this is a very like polarizing thing, and probably not the best place to do this is the internet. I've had a few conversations with friends and they've kind of understood where I'm coming from with this, but I've also had people that don't understand it. So I just think it's a very interesting thing that goes both ways. I don't think there's like one defined answer. It is interesting to me that the scene was removed. I guess that saves her from whatever, you know, bad things can happen down the line, people not going to her shows, things like that. You know, by all means, I am very understanding of everyone and who everyone is and who they want to be. Everyone should be allowed to express themselves regardless of, you know, how they feel, how they look. They should be able to be themselves and feel comfortable in that and be who you are. So that's kind of where I am with this. I'd love to see you guys comment and let me know your thoughts on this. And again, I don't think there's one solid answer to this. So also, about 99% of the people watching my channel are not subscribing. There's only 1% that are subscribing. So if you get that subscribe button, I'd love to get to 1,000 subscribers within the next month. That'd be great. Appreciate you guys. All right. Bye.